Okay, so welcome everyone officially to the another live session, the first one of 2024. So happy New Year to everyone. Um, First up, and it's a good expression there we did. So let's jump into our teaching for today, and we'll look at today's quote. And there's a lesson, a new insert. There's quite a bit to do, and then we'll have a look finally at the purpose, processes, and practices of psychotherapy supplement, which we're busy working through at the moment. Supplement to the course. Okay, so let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so all right, so if you can read that, anyone would like to read the quote, very short, sweet quote from Paramahansa Yogananda today to see in the new year. So John or Kim, perhaps you can read that.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay.
All right. Peace is the altar of God, the condition in which happiness exists.
Hmm. So this is a day, New Year's Day is normally the wish for happiness. People say Happy New Year. It's quite universally felt and expressed around the world. Today's inspirational quote by Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, was an Indian yogi, a spiritual teacher. He was one of the holy men of India. He brought the teachings and practice of yoga to the West. Went to California in the 1920s and was one of the first teachers of yoga in the US. So really, it's a reminder. This is a quote that reminds us that happiness can only exist when your mind is at peace. So it's what I call foundational happiness, without which you cannot be authentically happy. Any seeming happiness you experience without this foundation of inner peace is merely a temporary satisfaction experienced as a result of seeking some external goal that can't satisfy you for very long because nothing external to you that seemingly exists in the world of form is real. So it's tempting, New Year's Day, we're all about goals, New Year's resolutions, and so on. It's tempting to look outside of us for the salutist state of happiness. So, well, if I do this year, and if I achieve this, if I acquire this possession, or I do something, I get something, then I'll be happy. Very tempting to do that. That's the ego's thought system. But really, what we've got to do is consciously let go of this temptation to deny our happiness, because that hurts us. Whenever we desire something outside of us, say, I'll be happy when this happens, even if that's very subtle and subconscious, we set up an endless cycle of desire, craving, as the Buddha called it, and then the unhappiness at not fulfilling our desire. And even if we attain something, Elaine, you were mentioning about your mortgage. So you finally, paid off the mortgage and have the house, and yet it's a bit kind of flat. Well, maybe you thought that when that happened, you would feel amazing, and actually, it's a disappointment. So that's typically what the ego does. It sets up the desire, and you can work and work to get it, and then when you get it, it's really nothing great, and then it looks ahead again, because its pattern is to always look in the future and look ahead and say, well, what's next? So today, instead of doing all of that and looking for happiness where you'll never find it, and egoic goals you need to do, something to achieve, focus on stilling your mind. Sure, we can do a meditation in the session to help you do that, which, as Yogananda observes in today's quote, is the condition in which happiness is naturally present. So the phrase, altar of God means the foundation of perfect love when it's translated into our alternative language. It tells you that you can only experience peace when you're aware of perfect love and oneness. And to help you reflect more deeply on this truth, here's a translated version of the quote, translated into alternative art of letting go language. So if someone else read that, Elaine or John, if you can read that.
Yep. Stillness is the foundation of perfect love, the condition in which happiness is naturally experienced.
Right, so I think that makes quite a nice connection between peace and happiness, and this state of stillness. It arises naturally when your mind is still. The practice of consciously stilling your mind is known as meditation, some spiritual traditions as prayer. But whatever you call it, what's important is that you make time every day to do it, to experience the benefits it brings. More peace and happiness immediately and in the long term. Peaceful, happy, flowing experience of life is your default state. So that happy, peaceful flow state can only be obscured by separating thoughts and emotions that negate it. So that's why we say negative. They are negative thoughts. They negate the truth. They negate or deny your true awareness. So we call them negative or negative, I prefer to say, because they negate the truth. So the only way to reconnect with this awareness and the peace, happiness, joy, and flowing freedom it inevitably leads you to experience is to let them go and allow it to arise in your awareness. And that's why we practice stilling our minds, which is the same as letting go of negative and hence false thoughts and emotions over and over using the workbook lesson. So it's a meditative practice. And it's why, there's always daily meditation on the lesson, as well as the shorter breath breaks. So, this year, it's a good time. If you're going to set a New Year's resolution, set an intention to practice, do more spiritual practice. Say, okay, I'll do a couple of meditations a day. I'll practice the breath breaks more often. Try for, once an hour. But if you do it a few times a day, you're doing pretty well. And if you set that as an intention, then you're that's probably the most positive thing you can do, because that state of mind that it fosters is the state of mind that leads to miracles, and miracles lead to lead you on your path of awakening, which is what we're all here to do. So meditation and radical forgiveness, or letting go, are undoubtedly the most powerful spiritual practices you can do to stop hurting yourself, your own negative thinking, become aware again of your true nature as pure formless awareness of perfect love. So there's no more empowering resolution you could possibly make today than this one. So I think the beauty of doing meditation along with letting go is these are the most powerful spiritual practices available in the world. And you combine them in these, if you do these meditations and these breath breaks, because every meditation, everyone has an aspect of meditation and everyone has an aspect of letting go. And you just combine them. In case you're wondering how this will benefit you materially, because lack of money is an issue for you, which it may well be for many people at this time of year. Given Christmas, often people overspend and stuff. Anyone listening to the recording, bear in mind that many highly successful and wealthy business people like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Deepak Chopra immediately come to mind, have made meditation and other spiritual practices an integral part of their lives. So they all meditate regularly. They all have a spiritual practice, or had. Steve Jobs is not with us. In fact, but if you, I'll mention that Steve Jobs' last wish at his funeral was that every person who attended should get a copy of Yogananda's book called Autobiography of a Yogi, because he'd made that his kind of spiritual go-to for his whole life. And I think the reason why Apple was so phenomenally successful was because he brought in a spiritual dimension that wasn't there in other companies. And so Apple has that at its core. And interesting, because when he left Apple in the early 80s, they went way down. And then he got brought back in the mid 90s when they were really struggling. And he brought that inspiration back. And that was then, all of the things that he brought in are now being the foundation of Apple's huge success, one of the most valuable company in the world. Because there was a spiritually inspired man at the heart of it who brought that into a business context. And that's why do people love Apple, because it stands for more than just tech. Do you use an Apple? Why?
No, I love them. It's brilliant phone. It's perfect.
So what about it? There's something more than just the tech.
I don't know. It just fits me perfectly.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there's an identification of, I identify myself with the brand. Of course, that is what marketers want you to do.
Yeah.
It's a self-concept. I'm an Apple person because I like Apple always stood for something a little bit different, a little bit classy. It's about design, it's not just about functionality. So people identify, they're not necessarily the best phones, but you identify with the yeah, but they're pricey. So while you know what I mean, for value, you get probably better value elsewhere. People will buy the Apples. Why? Because they identify, their self-concept identifies with it. Something about it speaks to them. It says, yeah, I identify myself as an Apple person. And of course, that's what branding people are always trying to do, branders and marketers. If you can identify with the brand, then you'll buy it, irrespective of the tech stuff. I mean, obviously, the tech's got to work. If it's totally useless, no one's going to buy it. So that's you can see how powerful this inspiration can be, because Steve Jobs built the world's most valuable company, and it was largely him and his inspiration that did it. When he wasn't there, they went backwards. So I've given you the book if you want to. There it is. You can download it. Yogananda's book. Fascinating, actually, because it's his story, and just this story of total trust, flow. We went to America, I had no idea how to speak English. Apparently, this is in the book. They organized a kind of welcome function for him. He didn't speak a word of English, but he was supposed to address everyone in English. They didn't have translators because no one understood Hindi or Pali or whatever he spoke. So he went, okay, well, I need some help here. And apparently he gave a talk in flawless English, not understanding a word of it. So that's just a download. It's like, okay, well, just something come in and speak through me, even though I don't understand what I'm saying. This is one way to do it. But, that's the power of spirit. You can do that. So, well, right now, let's have a look at our lesson for today, which is lesson 323, all about overcoming fear, which I think is a very appropriate note to start today on. So let's jump into, and there's the insert. It's a new insert. I don't think we've done this. What is creation? So I think let's read that. It's 5 paragraphs. That'll lead us nicely into the lesson. So Kim, if you want to read, can you read the first paragraph in the original and the alternative as well? That'd be great.
Line by line, or?
Yeah, so read it in the original, first sentence, and then the alternative first sentence.
Okay. Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number infinite, and everywhere without or limit. Creation is the extension of perfect love and the totality of its awareness, infinite and everywhere without any limit.
So just
Only
pause
love
it there. I
that-
think that's worth commenting on. I've actually translated the sum of all God's thoughts as the totality of its awareness, because essentially God is not, that awareness doesn't have separated thoughts. So when he says God's thoughts, what he's actually referring to is this fundamental awareness that's everywhere all the time. He's using thought. So in the translation, if you use awareness, it's a bit more encompassing and less separative. In number, infinite, and everywhere without all limit. Well, that kind of indicates, second part of it, what he's referring to. It's awareness, everywhere without all limit. These are not separated thoughts. Capital thought really means awareness. That's how we translate it in our alternative language, because that's what he's actually talking about. Okay, we want to clear on that. So you want to carry on?
Okay. Only love creates, and only like itself. Only perfect love creates or extends, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there. There was no time when all that it extends was not there. Nor will there be a time when anything that it created suffers any loss. Nor will there be a time when anything that it extends suffers any loss. Forever and forever are God's thoughts, exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. Perfect love awareness is eternally the same, unchanged throughout time and after time is over.
Okay, so read it in the alternative from the top.
Creation is the extension of perfect love and the totality of its awareness, infinite and everywhere without any limit. Only perfect love creates or extends, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it extends was not there, nor will there be a time where anything that it extends suffers any loss. Perfect love's awareness is eternally the same, unchanged throughout time, and after time is over.
Yeah, so thoughts on that? What's he saying?
Well, the creation, what God or perfect love created is just, it's an extension, it's an awareness that's for eternity. What we perceive as time, it will be forever, even beyond time, when we actually become one with God or perfect love, and that time ceases to exist because it's not really real. There's no suffering with this creation or awareness. It's what it is and what will always be, and it's with perfect love.
It's always extended. That's why we changed create to extend. So this awareness extends everywhere. It is everywhere. And it's only our block to it because we don't want to know that awareness. That's the problem. It's always there. So what he's really saying, it's eternally the same. It's always there. Just haven't been aware of it. But fortunately, it hasn't gone away. It's just there waiting for you to rediscover it. So this is the key teaching of any of the perennial philosophy teaching, the Course being among them, is that it's always already there. It was always there. You don't have to go and create it or invent it or, grow and become it. It's already there. You just have to remove what blocks it. So take away the block, the awareness of love's presence, and it will reveal itself. Whereas the other school of thought says, no, it's not already there. In fact, you're lacking something. Now you've got to grow into something and becoming it. So that's the whole sort of personal growth movement and many versions of spirituality, saying you're not actually okay as you are now, but if you keep going, one day you'll be okay because you'll grow into it. And one of them must be true and one must be false. You either are already already have it and it's there and it's just covered over, or no, actually you're dysfunctional and you've got to try and grow and become something better that you're not currently. Which the problem is, if you believe that, then when does it end? I'm not yet currently, but one day I'll get there. Well, one day never comes. You're always seeking and striving and desiring, which is what the Buddha noticed, that desire becomes then the source of your suffering, because you never get there, because you set the game up that way that you'll never get there. You got to keep learning and growing and improving, and when does it ever end? So whereas with the other teaching, if it's always already there, well, you could just accept it now. It's there, right there. It's available to you in your experience right now. So the idea of getting there, once you understand that, becomes a bit ridiculous because it's already there. So how can you get there if it's already in you? That's the paradox, isn't it? It's already in you, but you've blocked it. So now the whole methodology then becomes, well, let's work on letting go of the blocks, because that's all that's preventing you from understanding that it's already there, which is exactly what Yeshua's done with this course. He's saying, well, let's help you to let go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is forgiveness or letting go. And so you can see then how the methodology comes very clearly out of the teaching, out of the philosophy. If it wasn't already there, then forgiveness would make no sense. See, letting go would make no sense because it's not already there. So now you've got to do all kinds of other stuff to become it. And then your focus goes elsewhere, usually on the external. I've got to do this, become this, achieve something to become more than what I already am. So that's the focus of a lot of these other personal growth type teachings. Aspirational. I've got to strive to become it. If you look at people, who are on that track, they're generally not that happy. Even if they're achieving things, high flyers. They're interesting because Tony Robbins, who was probably chief advocate of that whole teaching, if you watch him over the last few years, he started to interview people like Michael Singer. And Michael Singer is just teaching a course. He doesn't teach A Course in Miracles, but he's just talking about letting it go. Everything's got to be let go of. And so Tony Robbins has started to realize, well, there's a limitation to the growth model. Hence, interest in Michael Singer. Actually, maybe there's another way here. It's always already there. And the opportunity is to let go of the blocks. And that's what you then start focusing. So I don't knock personal growth because it's a point, it's a starting point. You get to a point, you hit the limits of that system, and then you go, okay, well, there must be something beyond it. As Tony Robbins did, as many have done, as I did. I was totally in that world. And then I realized once I dismally failed at my lifelong goal that I'd got something wrong. It must be fun. It wasn't that I'd failed. It was that something was wrong with the system. That I understood that something was wrong with the thought system, and I hadn't fully understood. And so that was then a call to go deeper and start asking, deeper questions, which led me eventually to the course. Because then you start asking, well, what is it really all about? Is it just about achieving stuff, or is it about just being happy now? That's what it comes down to. Maybe they contradict each other. If I'm always looking to the future to achieve something to be happy, then maybe that means I can never be happy now because I've set it up that way, which is what the Buddha noticed 2,500 years ago. And that became the second noble truth of Buddhism. It's a simple insight that desire causes suffering. And yet, it remains as true today as it was then. Second noble truth of Buddhism it became. And I think we all intuitively can understand that. Because whenever you're seeking something, Elaine, you talked about your mortgage. That's a classic example. Well, I've been working for 20 years to pay off my mortgage. Finally, I've done it. Then, okay. And I thought it would be amazing, and it's just a bit disappointing, really. But that's good because it means you become disillusioned. And disillusionment must precede enlightenment. Can't go to enlightenment with your illusions. It's disillusionment. Okay. So happy with number one, everyone? Any questions on that?
No, it's good.
understand what creation is. Creation is just the awareness. It's the whole awareness that of God or pure formless awareness of perfect love, which he's referring to when he talks about creation. Okay, so next one. John, maybe you can read that one in the original and alternative kindly.
Yeah. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own creator has. Perfect love's awareness is given all the power that its own source has. For he would add to love by its extension. For it adds to love by its extension. Thus his Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power to create. And so its extension shares in this extension and must therefore share in power to extend. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. And what pure formless awareness of perfect love intends to be forever one, will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began.
And then read it from the top in the alternative.
Perfect love's awareness is given all the power that its source has, for it adds to love by its extension, and so its extension shares in this extension, and must therefore share in power to extend. What pure formless awareness of perfect love intends to be forever one will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one? Summary?
We're saying that it's saying that as extensions of God, we are given all of God's perfect formless awarenesses powers to love, really. I mean, and that has always been the case and will always remain the case, because time is of the illusion.
So even while time is going on, this is always there, always already there. Perhaps let's just show you this timeline thing. See if we can go to the timeline. There we go. So that sort of visually demonstrates it quite well, isn't it? So although all the drama's going on the timeline, it's all the red stuff in an average life, various difficulties and challenges and traumas and maybe some successes, good stuff mixed in. Above that lies this eternal awareness, and it's always there. And so our job is at any point on the timeline to go above the thinking of the timeline, thinking of the world, and just go into this awareness. And that's what forgiveness really entails. It's just a letting go of the thoughts and emotions that characterize the ego. So everything in the red is ego, psychological, and emotional attachment. So the drama, the trauma, the pain, the grief, sorrow, emotion is really what gets us. And the ego is the red arrows trying to root us down onto the timeline and tell us that was real, that really happened. And the character that experienced it is very real. And he is hurting, he is in pain, he is suffering if it's a trauma, or if it's a success, is like, wow, over the moon, I'm really so excited. You know, this is amazing because it's happening to me. This is the point. Everything happens to you as a character on the timeline. And this awareness says, no, this isn't you. So let go of these thoughts and emotions that block this awareness. And once you go into this pure awareness, pure formless awareness with perfect love, you realize it was always there. was never a time it wasn't there. Your mind was preoccupied with other thoughts. That's the ego structure. And so you weren't aware of it. But letting go of all of those other thoughts means that you become aware of that eternal, timeless essence, which is always there. And so another word for this would be creation. I don't think I can actually fit it in there, but creation could be a synonym for source, for pure formless awareness, perfect love, eternity, oneness, God, Father. It's of the same order. When he talks about creation, he's talking about this the same reality. Really. Okay. Any other thoughts on number 2?
No, that's clear.
All right. Happy with that. So, Elaine, if you can read number 3 for us, again in the original alternative, please.
Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Extension is the opposite of all illusions, for extension is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God, for in creation is his will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole.
I'm just going to pause here. I think I'm going to change this. So creation, we use creation as 2 translations because it depends on the context.
Mm-hmm.
If he's talking about the extension, then we use the word extension. But if he's talking about the fundamental essence or being, then we use being. So I think being is the opposite of all illusions. For being is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God. And creation is his will complete in every aspect. And then extension of being. How about this extension of being? Because that's really what we are. We're just the extension of this fundamental being. Is the pure formlessly aware extension of perfect love, the Holy Son of God. For an extension is its awareness complete in every aspect. In creation is his will complete in every aspect. For in being, maybe that would be in being is its awareness complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Okay, do you want to read that number 2, Elaine?
Extension of being is the pure formless awareness, aware extension of perfect love, for in being is its awareness complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole.
Okay, carry on.
Its oneness is forever guaranteed, inviolate, forever held within his holy will, beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. Its oneness is forever guaranteed to be perfect and eternally held within its pure formless awareness, beyond all possibility of harm, separation, imperfection, and any blemish on its innocence. From the top,
And then from the top.
being is the opposite of all illusions, for being is the truth. Extension of being is the pure formless, aware extension of perfect love. For
It's
in
pure
being,
formlessly aware.
formlessly
Formless,
aware
yes.
extension of perfect love. For in being, its awareness is complete in every aspect, making every part a container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed to be perfect and eternally held within its pure formless awareness, beyond all possibility of harm, separation, imperfection, and any blemish on its innocence. So it's saying about the being part of us is the absolute opposite to the way we lead our lives in illusions. And once we're in that container, we're part of this container, which is the whole being, and its oneness is guaranteed. And in that, we will be away from any harm, separation. Nothing will affect or blemish its innocence.
Yeah. It's perfect. I think this is the key point. There's no sin because it's absolutely perfect. So if it's perfect, how can there be sin? How can there be any promise? And any imperfection is just a misperception. Whatever imperfection we perceive, whatever sin and guilt and fear is simply false. It's not true, and it can be let go of, therefore. And that is why we are saved. It's why we can let go of all sin and guilt and fear, whatever is negative, because there is this fundamentally this perfection that is there in our minds, which we can return to. If that weren't the case, then we would be forever lost in the dream world. But it is, fortunately. Thank God it is. So we can find it again. Okay. Any other thoughts on number 3?
Very clear.
Yeah. So well, I'll ask at the end. What do you think of creation? But the reason he does these inserts is to get clear on the use of the term. So we see creation, know exactly what it means. Okay, I think it's Lynn actually. You want to read? You come closer.
Right. Where are we? 4.
So we're reading original sentence and then the alternative of 4.
We are creation. We, the sons of God. As the extensions of perfect love, we are the extension. We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with him. We seem to be separate and unaware of our eternal unity with him.
With it.
With it.
Perfect love.
Yet. Of all our doubts, past all our fears, there still is certainty. Yet behind all our doubts and past all our fears, there is still certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity and their creator. Perfect love's memory is in our pure minds, which know their oneness and their unity and their source.
With their source.
With their source. Let our function be only to let this memory return, only to let God's will be done on earth, only to be restored to sanity and to be as God created us. Let our function be only to let the memory return, only to let perfect love's awareness come to everyone, only to be restored to sanity, and only as pure formless awareness of perfect love extends us.
Alternative.
As the extension of perfect love, we are the extension. We seem to be separate and unaware of our eternal unity with it. Yet behind all our doubts and past all our fears, there is still certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. Perfect love's memory is in our pure minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their source. Let our function be only to let this memory return, only to let perfect love's awareness come to everyone, only to be restored to sanity and be only as pure formless awareness of perfect love extends us.
There's that to my function. Makes it more personal, isn't it?
Mm.
And to let God's will be done on earth. So that's only to let come to me and everyone. Only to be restored to sanity and it's pure. Only to be or to be only. Only to be. It's pure formless awareness of perfect love extends me. Okay, so what's he saying on that one?
Saying that we remain love, but we forget that we are. It's reminding us that that's our aim, to really get back to love.
It seemed to be separate and unaware of this unity, but in the face of that illusion, our only function is to return to that awareness. That return to the awareness is awakening. That's on New Year's Day, you realize that's your purpose, to return to that awareness. And that in that return is the discovery of who you really are, understanding, knowledge of who you really are. In that return lies peace and joy and happiness, lies a fulfilled and flowing life in this world. Those are all byproducts of the knowledge of who you really are. And you say only to be restored to sanity is really saying you're insane at the moment. But this is the remedy, the insanity. And I think we do see more and more as we awaken, you look at the craziness of the world. And the craziness of your own ego gets involved in it. And you see what he's saying. It is insane. And this is the answer. This is the way out of that nightmare. To restore your mind to the sanity of its own true awareness, which has always been there, but it's just been covered over. Okay. Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments on number 4? Okay. So number 5, I think it cycles back to Kim.
Okay. Our Father calls to us. My source calls to me. We hear his voice and we forgive creation in the name of its creator. I hear its voice and let go of all blocks to extension in the name of its source, pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love, its own extension shares. I didn't read the whole sentence of the other one, sorry. I'll start again from the original one. We hear his voice and we forgive creation in the name of its creator, holiness itself, whose holiness his own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. I hear its voice and let go of all blocks to extension in the name of its source, pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love, its own extension shares, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love is still a part of me and everyone.
Yeah, so read that from the top in the alternative.
My source calls to me. I hear its voice and let go of all blocks to extension in the name of its source, pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love its own extension shares, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love is still a part of me and everyone.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, we kind of remembering who and what we truly are. We hear the voice, we let go of the blocks. That's part of remembering who we are. It's reminding us to let go of these blocks in the name of perfect love.
I think the original here can be a bit confusing. Did anyone get confused? But we forgive creation in the name of its creator. I was like, okay, so why would you need to forgive what has been created by God? You see the
It's blown my mind. I'm not taking it in
Yeah.
at all, to be fair.
so that's why the translation kind of sorts that out, because you forgive creation, you're saying, well, I need to let it go. But if it's created by God, you can't let go of God's creation. So I think that's an error that should have been edited out and wasn't. I didn't pick up on it. So I've translated it as let go of all blocks to extension in the name of its source. And that's, I think, what it means. You know, any of the blocks, we forgive creation, we forgive miscreation, we forgive the blocks to the extension of perfect love, blocks to extension. But if you then if you're getting tired, that's actually quite a good state to just absorb it, because it just kind of goes in. You know, you're in an alpha state, and it's just seeping into awareness. So these are blocks to extension of perfect love in the name of the source. Pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love, its own extension, shares, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love is still a part of me and everyone. So, well, what's he saying there in summary?
Well, the voice is, I mean, if you hear the voice, it means there's something there that's reminding you of what this awareness is as creation. It's all that ever was and is. And if you let go of that, the blocks to it, you realize that it's all part of you and who you really are, and everyone else.
Yeah, it's a universal awareness. It's everywhere. It's in everything. It's in everyone, and you share it. And this is the experience of enlightened beings through the ages. They come into this universal consciousness, realize that it was always there, and they now not blocked anymore. They experience it as ever present, as right there in their awareness. But to get to that clear state, you normally need to do spiritual practice to clear those blocks. So we're always already there on the one hand, but the paradox is, well, because of the illusion, we blocked ourselves, and now we need to do things like forgiveness and meditation and spiritual practices to let go of the blocks to what was always already there and still is there. So there's a paradox because the paradox is caused by the illusion that we have to deal with, and the undoing of that illusion. Okay. So any other thoughts on number 5?
No.
Okay, so nice one. So if you want to explain what is creation in a minute or so, how would you explain it?
Who are you asking?
Anyone who would like to volunteer? No? What is creation?
I think I would just sum it up in a couple of sentences because it feels like this is, we reminded in different ways that there's this awareness that it's who we really are is one is part of the awareness, which has always been there, and we if we let go of the blocks through forgiveness or letting go, then we return to what we really are, and that creation was always there,
Yeah.
which is love and innocence
Yeah.
and
Whatever you call it.
not the illusion, which is false.
Fundamental awareness of being, it's always already there, and you just block, so let it go, and you will become aware again of creation, your true nature, your true being, as you were created or extended, and as you remain. So whenever we translate it, I tend not to use the past tense of created, use extends rather. So I am as God not created me, but I am as perfect love extends me. Because I'm extended right now. It's not some past tense affair. It's happening right now. In the present moment. You would not have any awareness. None of us would be here if we weren't the extensions of that awareness, because that is our fundamental awareness. So it's always here. But we're just not always aware of it because we have other thoughts going on, other thoughts and feelings that cover that and block it. So if you understand that, our job then just becomes to clear those blocks, and that's the only purpose of your life. So that makes it very simple. Oh, it's to clear the blocks to awareness of love's presence. That's the purpose of my life. Oh, okay. Finally, I found my purpose. It was always there, but you gave yourself all kinds of other purposes that are not true. That's the one true purpose, because that's the one purpose that will lead you out of the illusion to the truth. It's the one illusion that collapses all the other illusions, if you want to frame it that way. So then that, he's saying, well, dedicate your life to that. It's one simple goal. You don't have to worry about anything else. And all the other experiences that you need to help you to let go will happen as part of that journey. And you don't have to orchestrate that. That will just happen for you. So when you get any challenge, you've got to understand that is happening for you as a gift to help you to undo another block to the awareness of love's presence, because that's what you've asked for. Just to reinterpret it and not get caught up in the ego's fearful story. So that actually it's all good, it's all part of the plan, it's all exactly as it should be, even when it appears to all be going terribly and pear-shaped. It was all, so, you mentioned your dad's death. It's all part of your awakening journey. And fortunately, you don't have to go and create that. You don't go look for that. It just comes, doesn't it? These things happen, and then it's about how do I choose to respond to it. And that's where this teaching is invaluable, because you now have another framework for responding to it. If you didn't have a spiritual teaching, you're going to respond inevitably in the ego, which is the default thought system, and you'll suffer.
Well, I feel like accepting of his passing.
Yeah.
What I haven't got the acceptance of is the stuff that last bit of suffering. So that's my lesson in it.
Yeah. And that's just, again, the idea of pain and suffering, which is part of the ego, coming up to tempt you to believe it. Because you saw it in someone you cared about. And it's happening all the time. People are suffering around the world right now in one way or another. There's the only way out of that. You either make it real and then it's just one disaster. The world is just basket of pain and suffering. Or you understand that none of it's real and that beyond the suffering lies truth and peace and joy. And that's what he's saying. Creation is still the same, nothing's really changed. The pain and the suffering haven't changed one bit. Those are just false illusions that the ego's made up to cover over the truth. When I had my Satori moment after 9 days of meditation, that became so clear that all of the negative thoughts and emotions I'd ever thought were just being justified by the world. The only purpose of the world is to justify the negativity. So, I get it. So now you start to understand that within and without are not really separate. Because it's the within that's created the without, which then triggers you to experience those egoic thoughts and emotions. And then you go, oh, but it's caused outside. But actually, it was already in you, and it actually got projected out and is now coming back to you like a boomerang.
Very clearly, actually, the suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you realize that I'm causing my own suffering through that crazy projection perception mechanism, then I can make a choice to stop it. So that's just crazy. So I'm making myself suffer. So why would I make myself suffer if I can choose to let it go and be at peace? And there's no good answer the ego can come up for that reason, to that question. Which is why most people, they won't ask the question. They just block out the question. The ego doesn't want them to think those thoughts, so it just obliterates that. And then you just get stuck in the suffering. But it's an obvious question to ask. Why would I choose to suffer if I could actually let it go now? Can you find one good reason? Some people go, well, I deserve it. So, suffering is just part of life. There's many rationalizations, justifications, but none of them are true. So there's no reason for suffering at all. And that's the good news. Actually, there's no reason. There's no cause. There's no reason for it. And if you understand that, then you'll let it go. Because it just becomes pointless. Like even one moment of suffering could be in joy, bliss. Why do you choose to suffer in that moment? Doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. However, having said that, it's very simple theoretically, but to actually do it in practice and let go of that sticky feeling that's whatever you're experiencing, fear or grief or suffering in any form is the challenge, because the ego's emotions are sticky by design. It wants them to be sticky so that you can't get rid of them. And then you get sucked into the drama. Okay. So thanks, Kim. Everyone clear about what is creation? So let's go on now to our lesson for the day. So 323. Gladly make the sacrifice of fear. So someone else can read that. Lane or John, perhaps in the original alternative, and then the first paragraph.
I gladly make the sacrifice of fear. I gladly let go of all fear.
Okay, and then you understand what he means by the sacrifice. Well, he'll clarify it here. It's about the sacrifice.
Here is the only sacrifice you ask of your beloved Son. You ask him to give up all suffering, all sense of loss and sadness, all anxiety and doubt, and freely let your love come streaming into his awareness, healing him of pain and giving him your own eternal joy. This is the only sacrifice you ask of your beloved extension. You ask me to give up all suffering, sense of loss, sadness, anxiety, and doubt, and freely let your love come streaming into my awareness, healing me of pain and giving me your own eternal joy. Such is the sacrifice you ask of Such is the sacrifice you ask of me, and one I gladly make. The only cost of restoration of your memory to me for the salvation of the world. Such is the sacrifice you ask of me, and one I gladly make, as the only cost of restoration of your memory to me for the awakening of the world.
Okay, and from the top, the alternative.
This is the only sacrifice you ask of your beloved extension. You ask me to give up all suffering, sense of loss, sadness, anxiety, and doubt, and freely let your love come streaming into my awareness, healing me of pain and giving me your own eternal joy. Such is the sacrifice you ask of me, and one I gladly make, as the only cost of restoration of your memory to me for the awakening of the world.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
So he's saying here that the only so-called sacrifice we are being asked to do is to let go of negativity, doubt, judgment, and allow the flow of love to come back into us.
Yeah.
Allow the healing.
And it's the sacrifice, quote, sacrifice.
Mm.
Because apparently that's the ego tells us that we're losing something. So quote, sacrifice, because it's not really a loss. So how can you say that losing suffering and any sense of loss and sadness and anxiety and doubt and guilt and fear and whatever else you want to bundle in there, how is any of that a sacrifice? But the ego tells you that it is. You're actually losing something that you want. That's the bizarre thing. You're losing all of that. Well, surely you should just be overjoyed. But the ego tells you that you're actually losing something of value, that you want to stay there. As bizarre as it sounds, but it's addicted to these thoughts and emotions. So what it's losing then is its sense of identity. If you no longer suffer and there's no sadness, then who are you? Except pure formless awareness of perfect love. Can you see why suffering is intrinsic to having an individual self-concept? Who would you be without your suffering? That's, again, a good question, isn't it? If I had no suffering, no pain, I was just perfectly peaceful and happy, who would I be? Would I be the separate self that I think I am? The answer is no, you wouldn't be. Because what defines your separate self is your drama, trauma, pain, and suffering. So this is the end of the self-concept. This is the end of the ego, which is why there's so much resistance to letting go of the pain, because the pain defines you. You've come to learn that pain is your reality. Pain is your identity. Interestingly, Sally mentioned yesterday, she changed her name from Pain to Peace. The surname was Sally Pain, and then she turned into Sally Peace, because it becomes an identity. And that's why it's so hard to get out of it, because it's your identity. And you think that's who you are, and better, at least I got, ego tells you, at least I got something. Even though it's miserable and unhappy and painful, at least you've got some identity. And it's more terrified of the so-called non-existence of just being pure formless awareness, because there's no separate identity. You're everything. And you will never reconcile this, which is why pain and suffering and love don't ever reconcile. You must choose. Okay? Happy with number one?
Yeah.
Okay, so number two, ask Elaine, perhaps, if you can read that.
Yeah. And as we pay the debt we owe to truth, a debt that merely is the letting go of self-deceptions and of images we worshipped falsely, Truth returns to us in wholeness and in joy. And as I pay the debt I owe to truth, the debt that is merely the letting go of self-deceptions and images I valued falsely, truth returns to me in wholeness and joy. We are deceived no longer. I am deceived no longer. Love has now returned to my awareness. Love has now returned to my awareness. And we are at peace again, for fear has gone and only love remains. And I am at peace again, for fear has gone and only love remains. And from the
Okay,
top.
and from the top.
And as I pay the debt I owe to truth, a debt that is merely the letting go of self-deceptions and images I valued falsely, truth returns to me in wholeness and joy. I am deceived no longer. Love has now returned to my awareness, and I am at peace again, for fear has gone and only love remains.
Okay, so message there. What's he saying? Summary?
Well, the debt we owe to the truth is merely to let go of all these images and self-deceptions, and they're all false. And we return back to our true wholeness and joy. And let's not be deceived any further. We can be at peace now. And let that fear go. And let the true love remain.
You see how this ties in with the idea of, there's only now, there's no time. Because if it's always already there, you remove everything that blocks that, then all you can experience is that right now. And if there are no blocks, you will experience that permanently, eternally, in the now. So the now is the closest approximation to eternity in this world that we can access. And when you're fully in the now, there is no past or future. It's gone. You're just here now in this awareness now, and aware of your own loving awareness, aware that you are that loving awareness right here, right now. Past and the future obscure that. Any thought of past obscures that awareness. Any thought of future obscures that awareness. So it's clearing all of that and just coming into the now, saying, I am this awareness right now. I don't need to desire it. I don't need to. It's here right now in my awareness. And it's very peaceful. It's very lovely. Even if I'm not in a full samadhi state, right here, right now, I'm at peace. So it's okay. Okay. So any other thoughts on that paragraph, Elaine, or anyone else?
Very clear. Mm-hmm.
No, it's good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, just another pointer beyond fear into the truth that lies beyond it. Creation, source, oneness, whatever you call it, is always there beyond the fear. So shall we do a meditation on this to just maybe experience that for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we're just going to do the psychotherapy purpose, processes, and practices. There's another section of that. So should we do the meditation first, or should we do it at the end?
Don't mind.
I'd rather do it at the end because I may have to go actually.
Yeah, also I'm gonna have to go in like 30 minutes, Jono. So either or.
Yeah. Well, do you want a meditation or do you want the purpose, processes, and practices? It's the question. Let's see how long it is. There we go. I think we're on number 2.7 today, which is the ideal patient-therapist relationship. Oh, it looks quite long, actually. 9 paragraphs. So why don't we do a meditation? and then they'll pep everyone up who's going to stay, hopefully, and those who have to go. Like Kim, if you need a drop off afterwards, you can do that. How's that sound? There's 3 or 4 paragraphs. Yeah. So we do the med first, and then those who have to go can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on. Okay, so let's record this. All that means good. On device. It's not really happening, is it? For whatever reason. Let's just try. Opening this again, maybe it might work. I was trying to just record the meditation separately. There we go. Okay. So let's go into our meditation on today's lesson, 323. So just sitting comfortably. You're sitting on a chair, your back straight, or you can have your legs out in front of you. Cup your hands on your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, so it's a maximum inhale breath. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine to your heart center, all the way up into the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. So just noticing any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. Breathe into that. And remind yourself of today's lesson, which is all about letting go of fear. So I gladly make the sacrifice of fear, or I gladly let go of all fear, if you prefer. And just blow it out, feel a sense of release. Imagine you blowing out a dark cloud of black smoke. So any fear, any anxiety, you're feeling, it's just a thought and an emotion. So it's an energy movement in your mind. Seems to be in your body, but it's all just generated by yourself, the false self. So blow it away, the breeze of your breath. Feel a sense of release. That this fear is just any sense of threat. Stress is a sense of threat. Fear is a sense of threat. So fear is stress. Stress is fear. Any sense of threat that you perceive in anyone or anything, any circumstance, event, person in your life that you perceive in any way as threatening. So this is your chance to just let that go. Realize that there is really nothing else. When you let go of fear, its associated emotions, what remains is pure formless awareness. So it is. So just sinking deeper and deeper with each breath. Breathing in and out through your nose, just observing the breath flowing into your nostrils and out of the nostrils. It's a very quiet, calm, subtle way. Getting more and more relaxed with each breath, sinking deeper and deeper with each breath and with each word into the state these words describe as calm, quiet. Peaceful state. So there is no fear. Why would you hold on to fear when you can have this pure, formless awareness, perfect love instead? Ask yourself that question. Why would I hold on to any fear, any pain of any sort, any suffering, when I can have this pure, formless awareness, perfect love? And ponder the answer. You're more and more relaxed with each breath, sinking deeper and deeper into the still, calm, quiet, peaceful state deep within you. And as you continue to breathe, just coordinate your breath. The words I speak, so breathe in as you hear me speak a sentence or part of a sentence, and then when I pause, you exhale out through your nose and you speak the sentence. And breathing in. This is the only sacrifice you ask of your beloved extension. You can repeat that out loud to yourself if you want. It's an affirmation of the truth. This is the only sacrifice you ask for you is addressing your own most innermost awareness. So you ask me, breathe in again. You ask me to give up all suffering, sense of loss, sadness, anxiety, and doubt. And freely let your love come streaming into my awareness. Freely let love come streaming into my awareness. So where you do that is you let go. Exhale the truth of that as you speak those words. Breathing in again. So freely let your love come streaming into my awareness. So breathe it in to every pore, every cell, every muscle, your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Come streaming in to your awareness. So freely let your love come into my awareness. Healing me of pain and giving me your own eternal joy. And breathe in and feel that life energy, joy of life, joy of you. It's called French joy of life. And then again, such is the sacrifice, quote, sacrifice you ask of me. Such is the sacrifice you ask of me, one I gladly make, is the only cost of restoration of your memory. I gladly make the so-called white sacrifice. Just breathe in this loving awareness into every pore, every cell, every muscle, your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. This is the only cost of restoration of God's memory. So breathing in again. As I pay the debt I owe to truth, a debt that is merely the letting go of all my self-deceptions and images I valued falsely. Truth returns to me in wholeness and joy. Truth returns to me in wholeness and joy. So breathe that in to every pore, every cell of your body, every fiber of your being. It's in the truth. I am deceived no longer. Love is now returned to my awareness. Breathe it into your awareness. I am deceived no longer. Love is now returned to my awareness. And I am at peace again. For fear has gone, and only love remains. Let's deep breath in. Hold the breath. And just feel into this awareness. This perfect loving awareness. So I'm at peace again. The fear is gone. Love remains. Say that. I'm at peace. Fear is gone and love remains. And just feel into that for a few minutes. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into the stillness, into the peace. Any thoughts come up, just recognize the illusory nature of them, their thoughts about time, past and future, what you've got to do, what you have done, the year ahead, any anxiety that goes with that. Breathe into it. Nice deep breath in and remind yourself that you'll gladly make the sacrifice of fear, gladly let go of all fear. So anything that blocks this fundamental awareness, anything that's disturbing your peace, just breathe into it. Imagine breathing in golden or white light, breathing it into third eye, the crown of your head. And just exhale and blow out any negativity, any fear, let it go. Gone. Blowing it out with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness that it really is. Lower stomach into the spine, expel the last stream of the air out. And surrender into this fearless, loving awareness. Your formless awareness of perfect love, we call it. That is always there, always been there, but usually obscured. Just gently coming back now. Just deep awareness, bring attention back into the body, the breath, the senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. Scan your mind. Again, notice any thoughts going on, if there's any fear thoughts remaining. Breathe into those again, bring in this pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's the antidote to all fear. Remind yourself that I gladly make the sacrifice of this fear, so-called sacrifice, so I'm willing to let it all go. And exhale. Blow it out with the breeze of your breath. Letting it all go into the nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. From the stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining out. Blow it all out. Notice how the air flows out. Chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down, front channel of your body to rest in your lower stomach and groin. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling with your hands, touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Smelling your nose, notice that. Notice what you're hearing. Surrounding environment, just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind without illusions. Only the truth is true, and you're very aware of that, very present. So just anchor that state in, set the intention to stay here for the rest of the session in the evening. So it is said, and so it is done. So now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around. Just observing the room around you in a very calm, detached way. So look at any object and notice there's this peaceful awareness that underlies any sense perception. Close your eyes, you can access that awareness maybe a bit more deeply when you close your eyes and open it. But notice that the awareness hasn't really changed. Look around, look at something else, another object randomly selected, notice the same awareness with your eyes open, closed. Do that for another half a dozen objects, just for a few seconds at a time. Just observing. This is pure witnessing, pure observation. To just observe what seems to be going on. Notice that this deep, peaceful awareness is very much there, underlying your sense perceptions, and you're never without it. So God goes with you wherever you go, because it's in your awareness, it's in your mind. You won't ever be without that awareness. It's the fundamental awareness without which you would have no existence. So it always underlies every sense perception. Just usually our senses obscure it, so we're not aware of it. But these exercises are designed to reveal it and help you to experience it. So I hope that has happened over the last 23 minutes. That brings us to the end of the meditation, part 1 of the session. We could take a little break if you want. I know, Kim, you said you had to go. John, do you have to go as well? We've got 9 paragraphs of...
Yeah, I've got to go as well. Well, I've got to go in about 5 minutes, yeah.
So that was a good time. Elaine, do you want to stay and do do the psychotherapy.
Yes, I'd like to do, but I'm just need to 10 minutes there because I'm just just putting the dinner on the table there. So 10 minutes there.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we take a? Because you still need to eat it, presumably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we take a what, a half an hour break? Is that enough?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll eat slowly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
And then
idea.
maybe we can go have some people and then come back if you want. I learn something else. Stamina.
So in about half an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's now 20 past. So let's say at 10 to 7. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah. See you all
Okay.
then. Right. Bye.
All right.
I'll
I'll
just
stay connected.
Bye.
So,
Bye,
Cheers,
everybody.
guys. Bye.
Namaste.
yeah, thanks
Bye.
for joining.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining, Kim.
Thanks. Namaste. Bye. Bye,
Namaste.
everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All the best. Bye for now. All right. So let's just pause the recording and